The Galactic Council's armada was the largest military force ever assembled in known history. 57 member species contributed their finest warriors, their most advanced warships, their deadliest weapons. Over 10 million soldiers prepared to descend upon the human colony of Redemption Point. It was meant to be a show of overwhelming force, a message to humanity that their expansion into contested space would not be tolerated. The Council expected capitulation. They expected fear. What they got was confusion. Admiral Krelvax of the Zenthari Imperium watched the tactical displays as human defensive forces gathered to meet them. Something was wrong. The bioscans showed the human soldiers were old. Not just experienced veterans, but genuinely elderly by human standards. Many registered over 60 Earth years. Some over 70. Is this a sensor malfunction? Krelvax demanded. His tactical officer triple-checked the readings. No, Admiral. Those are accurate. The humans are deploying. They're elders. Across the Council fleet, commanders reported the same phenomenon. The human defensive force consisted of approximately 12,000 soldiers, outnumbered nearly 1,000 to 1, and their average age was 63 years old. General Thax of the Korvathi legions laughed when he heard. They send us there weak and feeble. This will be a massacre, but not the one they hoped for. The Council forces landed with confidence. They expected a sweep through the human defenses in hours. The battle lasted 3 weeks, and it became a nightmare. The elderly human soldiers didn't fight like young warriors. They didn't charge with reckless bravery or rely on physical prowess. They fought with 70 years of accumulated knowledge, patience refined by decades, and absolutely nothing left to lose. These were men and women who had raised families, buried friends, survived wars, economic collapses, diseases, and personal tragedies. They had spent lifetimes mastering their crafts. Every single one was a volunteer who had seen the Council's ultimatum and decided that their grandchildren's freedom was worth more than their final years. The Council discovered that elderly human soldiers were terrifying for reasons no young warrior could match. They were patient. Where young soldiers might rush an ambush, these veterans waited for days in position without moving, their discipline absolute. Council patrols would walk past their positions repeatedly, never knowing death waited mere meters away. They were efficient. No wasted movement, no unnecessary risks. Every shot was calculated. Every trap was mathematically optimized. They had spent careers perfecting their skills and now applied them with surgical precision. They were creative. A retired engineer turned a farming irrigation system into a network of explosive traps. A former teacher used psychological warfare tactics that left Council soldiers paranoid and unstable. A grandfather who had been a chemist created compounds from local materials that circumvented every protection the Council forces had. Most terrifyingly, they were expendable. And they knew it. Young soldiers fight to survive and return home. These veterans had already lived full lives. They fought to win, and if that meant sacrificing themselves to take out an enemy command post or ammunition depot, they did so without hesitation. The Council's advantage in numbers became meaningless. Their supply lines were constantly sabotaged. Their communication networks were infiltrated and corrupted. Their positions were never secure. They couldn't predict where attacks would come from because the humans didn't follow standard military doctrine. They fought like foxes, like ghosts, like nightmares that struck and vanished. On the 18th day, Admiral Krelvax received a transmission. It was from Earth's military command. Admiral, you're currently fighting our retirees, our weakest soldiers, the ones too old for frontline service. They volunteered to give our actual military time to arrive. The tactical display updated. 60 human warships had just entered the system. These ones crewed by humanity's prime warriors. Young, strong, and now absolutely furious at what the Council had forced their grandparents to do. You have 6 hours to retreat, the transmission continued. Our elders have bought us enough time. If you're still here when our real forces arrive, we'll show you what humanity's strongest can do. The Council fleet withdrew in 4 hours. Back on Redemption Point, the elderly soldiers stood among their defenses, exhausted but victorious. A young reporter asked one of them, a 72-year-old grandmother who had personally eliminated an entire Council armor division, how they had done it. She smiled wearily. "Sweetie, we didn't survive 70 years on one of the universe's most dangerous planets by being weak. We survived by being smarter, meaner, and more stubborn than everything that tried to kill us. Age doesn't make humans weak. It makes us experienced." The Galactic Council never threatened human colonies again. They had learned a terrible truth. If humanity's weakest soldiers could inflict such devastation, they never wanted to face their strongest.